Shepherding Young Adults in the 21st Century, a Challenge or Privilege? By Magdiel Larrame Laurencio. Magdiel Larrame, Doctor of Ministry, is pastor of the Central Cambita Church and a professor of theology at the Dominican Adventist University, Banao, Dominican Republic. Pastor, what should we do with the youth? What pastor has not heard these words in their ministry coming from well-meaning adults? It seems that many comments often feature the word youth accompanied by terms such as problem. In my 16 years of pastoral ministry, I have had the privilege of serving in 4 distinct districts. Notably, 2 of these districts were characterized by an active membership where over 20% comprised individuals aged between 15 and 30. This experience showed me that the youth are usually a source of concern for adults. But are they really a problem? Or are we seeing the problems instead of the potential? 12% of the worldwide Adventist membership consists of individuals under 20 years old, and 28% are young people between the ages of 21 and 35. These figures reveal that nearly a third of the global Adventist membership is made up of youth and young adults. A study by the Barna Group indicates that when we think and speak of youth, they are often identified as a problem that requires fixing. From this perspective, the church becomes a kind of youth repair shop, with the pastor acting as the head mechanic. Could it be that instead of labeling youth as a problem, we should recognize and accept that they are simply different from adults? Generations with different perspectives. Historians have divided the last 102 years of contemporary history into 6 generations, with the year of birth determining which generation an individual belongs to. In this period, the first is the silent generation, 1922 to 1945, followed by the baby boomers, 1946 to 1964, Generation X, 1965 to 1980, Generation Y, also known as millennials, 1981 to 1994, Generation Z, 1995 to 2015, and finally, Generation Alpha, 2015 to present. Each of these periods encapsulates a population of individuals with entirely different customs, tastes, aspirations, and concepts. What may seem logical and normal to one generation might appear illogical, irrational, and outdated to the next. Take clothing styles as an example. In the 1970s, the idea of wearing pants that were worn out at the thighs, or even worse, torn, would have been entirely inconceivable. More recently, I met a man who went to a store and bought a pair of jeans with some frayed sections on the legs. He took them home and asked his grandmother to wash them. To his surprise, when he returned, his grandmother, in a sweet and cheerful tone, said, quote, "My dear, I fixed the pants you brought me," end quote. The woman had mended what he had purchased as something new and fashionable. An imaginary church. With this example in your mind, imagine now a church filled with worshipers on Sabbath morning. Brother Johnson, who is 85, used to be the head elder of the church when he was 40, back in 1982. Speaking with the pastor in his office, he is serious. Quote, "The church is not like it used to be, Pastor. We don't hear from the old hymnal. Those a cappella quartets, that was real music." End quote. He is not very enthusiastic about the idea of having a group of young people who have formed something called a, quote, worship team, end quote, going up on the platform and singing what they call quote, worship songs, end quote. At the last seat of the church, Brother Brown, 54, has noticed that some young people do not wear ties, and if they do, their ties are not tightened. That does not sit well with him. He prefers to remain silent, though his face betrays him. Then there is 19-year-old Cynthia singing Our God is an Awesome God by Michael W. Smith for special music, while the other young people listen with eyes gleaming in appreciation. However, also in our imaginary church is Sister Emma, 49 years old, and her husband. They have 2 children. One is 20 years old, and the other is 18 years old. Sister Emma loves singing old hymns, but has achieved something extraordinary. Young people enjoy her songs and ask her to sing I'd Rather Have Jesus for special music. Saturday nights, the couple invites the youth to their house for spaghetti and ice cream. There, both the youth and adults have fun playing group games. What is the difference? Does this sister not see the problem? Or does the problem disappear in this house? What is the difference? Emma and her husband have discovered that the issue is not someone, but something known as the generation gap. Emma has achieved something that has become a blessing for all. She and her husband have become their children's best friends and enjoy gathering youth in their home. They have set out to build a suspension bridge to connect each generation. This bridge is made up of love, tolerance, acceptance, support, respect, mentorship, encouragement, understanding, and trust. What is the result? The, quote, problem, end quote, has diminished. Adopting these principles proved instrumental in fostering harmonious relationships between young people and adults in the church. This approach not only facilitated intergenerational unity, but also led to a significant increase in youth commitment and sustained engagement in their faith journey. Emma and her husband have successfully lived out some principles of what author Ellen White wrote. Quote, ministers of the gospel should form a happy acquaintance with the youth of their congregations. There is a great reluctance on the part of many to become acquainted with the youth, but it is accounted of heaven a neglect of duty, a sin against souls for whom Christ died. The youth are objects of Satan's special attacks, and the manifestation of kindness, courtesy, tender sympathy, and love will often work the salvation of those who are under the temptations of the evil one. The love of Jesus will win you an entrance into the hearts of the young, and when you have obtained the confidence of the youth, they will listen to your words and take your counsel. You should bind them to your heart by the cords of love, and then instruct them how to labor in the cause of God. End quote. A challenge and privilege. We are all different. Being different does not make us a problem. It makes us unique and special. That is how God sees us, because that is how He created us. Dear minister, you do not need secular or contemporary music and worship to attract young people. Rather, your church needs love, understanding, the centrality of authentic relationships, support, and acceptance. Being the pastor of a multi-generational church challenges us to develop work strategies that aim to involve people of all ages in mission and worship, leading them to experience the Lord in worship and witness. But it is also a privilege because it allows us to share that which sin has tried to erase from among us, unity, which inevitably leads us to experience the joy of salvation and the happiness of dwelling together in unity. For bibliographical and biblical references on this article, and for much more content for pastors and church leaders, please visit ministrymagazine.org.